This video is going to contain spoilers in regard of Dragon Ball Super movie Broly. If you don't want to be spoiled, then it is in your best interest to leave, and if you want to hear my review for the movie, then now we begin. Dragon Ball Super Broly does not need much of an introduction. It's a piece that is created by Akira Toriyama and it follows the main storyline of Dragon Ball. Broly is not a new character for the fans either, as he has appeared before on another movie that had him as a focus point. But this time things have changed a lot for this character and for the lore of Dragon Ball due to the movie having an impact within the original story of Dragon Ball instead of creating a new one like the other movie did. This one starts on by telling the past and introducing the story that making things clearer to the fans, and despite some of the stuff being known, they added new layers to them. While the scare of the Dragon Ball minus did still exist, the changes that were put on the writing and the way how it is shown in the movie make for a great piece. It shows the struggle of Broly's father, who is already familiar to the fans thanks to the old movie, Paragus, and it stands as a way to introduce the characters in a sense of you understanding what their intentions are, which Paragus' intentions change very quickly with his protege son in Broly. More so than protecting his son, it's a way of taking revenge by using his son's power. The film shows the King Vegeta's and company's struggles with the merciless Frieza. Those were stories that were already told to us, but on this movie there is more attention to details. Not many things change regarding King Vegeta and Frieza's relation, but it expands more on the characters used with the interactions and shows more of a Saiyan struggle with this evil emperor. Not to be forgotten is also Bardock, who is the father of Goku, as movie makes clear the tale it is going to follow, will showing and making the first part about the three little kids in Broly, Vegeta and Kakarot. Bardock and his wife Guinea is shown to be different from other Saiyans. Their lifestyle is slightly different as they are around a small group of people, but them being different doesn't really make them normal. Adds a bit more diversity, shows more natural and common sense of Saiyans other than just being bland fighters. While it takes away something that we knew as an animals who love to fight, it adds more depth to the characterization and portrayal of them. The story is focused on the fate of the three Saiyans, but it becomes clear enough since the story within the film starts to progress that it is Broly who is going to shine through. Completely different from his monster-killing machine self in the 90s, this Broly is far more layered character. He's not there to kill just for the sake of killing. Broly is a character that is a tragedy centered around child abuse. The pain is very well portrayed on the movie. If his life was a very normal one, he is a character that would turn like Goku after the latter hit his head, which makes him very diverse from the other Saiyan counterparts. He has a clear talent for fighting and he is a very kind person, but he suffered the fate of being tortured. Paragus' pride for his son became twisted as he started to seek revenge, using Broly as a tool to achieve his goals more than actually trying to help him grow and let him be the person he is. His father gives him a wrong direction that goes on against his son's senses. The universe had to see that it was his son who is the strongest and not King Vegeta's son. This obsession of him for that glory leads to him even torturing Broly when he disobeys. What really humanized Broly on the story is his friendship and interactions with the two low-ranking Frieza soldiers in Chilai and Lemo. Even after his abuse-filled, horribly life, there is spark of light that comes out of Broly. It shows that he still remains a very kind person inside even after his father Paragus uses the color in a violent way against him. Broly still shows love towards him despite being used as a puppet. Even as a fight between Goku and Vegeta against Broly is going on, it becomes very hard to root for the heroes that follow Dragon Ball for longer. It shows the power and the characterization of Broly. Even as Earth's fate is at stake, it's not Broly's fault, which is something being portrayed by using Goku, who is able to grasp on that. Because Broly has been broken time and time again, his only escape route is becoming mindless monster. There is no real evil intent that comes deep from his soul after so much suffering. If there is someone to blame for this situation besides Paragus, it's Frieza himself who decided to play with fire. While the original plan is to secretly steal the Dragon Balls and get away with his wish, he decided to play with fire and allow Paragus to get his revenge on Vegeta. Frieza's need of seeing the Saiyans suffering has him playing with a power that he has no control over and rival those of God. He did not realize the stakes and the extent of a monster created inside Broly. While only being a side character and remaining on the sidelines for the majority of this movie, Frieza is the most important character. Frieza ties the scenes of the past to those of the present and then becomes a narrative point, putting all the pieces in order that they need to be so this story can take place. In other words, he is that one character who ties the whole story together. He is used properly to the sense that Dragon Ball lacked this character on the modern era. And talking about side characters and so much complaints that this movie has got for avoiding certain characters, like Gohan for example, this movie worked hard on being centered and focused on a main plot without having to make it too complicated. Even the characters that make an appearance on the movie, they don't show anything for it. It's a story that is completely focused on the three tales of Sans, and it fits the intention and the idea completely. It is a lot simpler and far more effective. The title is Broly and it centers around the emotion core, making it for a great way of telling a story. One thing set to realize is that this movie is not trying to wrap Dragon Ball up, but it is trying to kickstart it. But even on its own, it's a beautiful story of a broken man who turns into aimless monster, but with the end that there is still hope for him, for his own or millions of people's sake. Although not everything is black and white, the negatives about this movie are very rare to be found. From a story standpoint, animation and even music choices in some of the parts, it still stands as the most wonderful piece that Dragon Ball has created in ages. There should be hope on this being the real start of the modern Dragon Ball and the real way how Dragon Ball is going to continue in the future. There was a real balance between the screen time that each character was getting. It made it easy for you to follow the story and understand the points that they are trying to make. And it has a very good conclusion into not only showing development for the guy who stole the show, but also for the hero's show, as we see with Goku during the end of the movie. And the music choices for me were the most disturbing part, as it sometimes felt out of the place and not really having an impact on the scenes. It was a real letdown after so much stuff being done outside of it. It's possibly my only negative point alongside the CGI that was used during the fighting scenes. Although the CGI was much better than previously, it still doesn't feel like something that belongs on Dragon Ball or that it matches the 2D art style that is shown for the majority of the movie or even Dragon Ball content in general. My biggest negative points for this movie, they're not a major problem and should not be held as that. Although it takes away points due to the importance of music during certain moments, Dragon Ball did nail those in the past, and this is possibly one of the few times where it really felt out of place. But not completely, as there really were some good tracks, but shouting Broly or Gogeta name doesn't really help them on this case during a climax fight. Having these little negative things to say really tells you a lot about how hard they worked on this movie. It's a party for Dragon Ball fans who have been eager and waiting for something to brighten up, and the series who went a little bit downhill during the modern era when we talk about quality in their work and how much things complement each other. Here everything was natural and generally worth watching. More than once, if I'm honest, because it just becomes even more enjoyable after. But I really cannot speak on your name. So go ahead and watch it for yourself, form your own opinion, and if you have seen it, make sure to let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts were about this Broly movie. Let me know if you enjoyed it, what you did dislike. Just try to make some sense out of the movie, because maybe you have more criticism that I have. I even spoke with some people about this movie, and everybody seems to agree with the fact that this movie is the absolute best piece of the modern Dragon Ball, and it still was one of the best anime shonen movies recently. It really did a lot of things well, and that is something that us as fans should appreciate. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please make sure to like and subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter with the link in the description down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.